The 14th of February is sold as a celebration of romance, but the date did not begin with hearts, devotion, or tenderness. It began with fear, blood, and rules older than love itself. What if the day you associate with affection was designed for control, survival, and power? Instead, that quiet discomfort you feel right now is the doorway into a story. Most people were never told about this date today worldwide. Valentine's Day feels ancient and inevitable, like it has always meant love, yet history tells a colder story. Long before cards or roses, February carried rituals meant to manage chaos, seasons, and human behavior. These traditions were not whispered between lovers, but enforced by communities and authorities. To understand why the modern holiday exists, we have to step into a world where love was never the point at all here. In the ancient Roman calendar, February was not gentle or romantic. It was a month of purification, boundaries, and uneasy transitions. Winter still clung to the land. Crops were uncertain, and people feared what came next. Rituals performed during this time aimed to cleanse society and protect it from unseen dangers. Love, as we imagine it today, simply did not belong here at that time. One festival in particular cast a long shadow over mid-February, though its name rarely appears on greeting cards. It was loud, physical, and rooted in survival rather than sentiment. The rituals involved chants, pairing, and the raw realities of human bodies. To ancient observers, these acts were practical, even necessary. Romance as a concept would have seemed strangely out of place within them there. This celebration was tied to fertility, order, and the belief that society needed guidance to endure another year. Pairings were drawn, roles were assigned, and boundaries temporarily blurred under strict rules. The goal was not intimacy, but stability. What mattered was keeping the world predictable in unpredictable times. The 14th of February hovered near these customs, absorbing their meaning long before poetry or passion touched the date. As centuries passed, empires shifted, and meanings layered on top of old traditions. New stories did not erase the old ones, they softened them. Religious calendars moved in, offering saints and symbols that felt safer, calmer, and easier to tell. The 14th of February slowly drifted away from its earlier chaos, but it did not suddenly become romantic. Something else was happening beneath the surface of history. A single figure begins to appear in this timeline, though details about him remain blurred and contested. Stories speak of defiance, secrecy, and consequences rather than tenderness. His name would later be attached to the date, but the connection was not immediate or simple. What matters is not certainty, but transformation. The 14th of February was reshaped by narratives that redirected attention from ritual and toward meaning. By the time medieval Europe inherited the date, its past had become distant, but not gone. Poets, clerics, and chroniclers began layering softer ideas onto hardened foundations. Seasonal changes were reinterpreted, symbols were renamed, and coincidence became destiny. The day started to feel different, though few could explain why. Love did not arrive fully formed. It crept in carefully, borrowing space from older beliefs quietly. Even then, affection was only one thread among many. The date carried echoes of obligation, timing, and social order. People observed it because calendars told them to, not because their hearts demanded it. What we now call romance was still learning how to speak. The 14th of February remained a vessel, waiting to be filled, its meaning flexible, shaped by whoever held the pen of history next. What makes this unsettling is how cleanly the transformation was packaged. Over time, the earlier layers faded from collective memory, replaced by simpler stories easier to celebrate. The discomfort of origins was softened into symbols people could share publicly. This is not deception in a dramatic sense, but gradual, forgetting. The 14th of February did not change overnight. It drifted until its previous life became almost invisible. The modern image feels so complete that questioning it feels wrong, almost disloyal. Hearts, candles, and promises leave little room for uncertainty. Yet beneath those images lies a timeline shaped by necessity, not emotion. This does not diminish love. It complicates it. Understanding where the 14th of February came from does not strip it of meaning, but it does remove the illusion that love was its purpose. This tension between myth and memory is where our story rests for now. The 14th of February sits at a crossroads between what people feel and what history remembers. It is both inherited and reinvented, ancient and modern at once. The date did not begin as a celebration of love, yet it became one anyway. That contradiction is not an accident. It is a result of centuries reshaping. So when we look at the 14th of February today, we are not seeing a single origin, but layers of intention stacked over time. Some were practical, some accidental. Love entered late, almost as a guest borrowing an old house. The walls were already there, built for other reasons. What matters now is not judging the transformation, but recognizing it happened, while generations accepted the new story as timeless truth. This realization can feel unsettling because it suggests something intimate has been inherited, not discovered. The holiday feels personal, yet its roots are collective and impersonal. That contrast creates a quiet tension beneath the surface of celebration. We sense meaning, but rarely ask where it came from. The 14th of February holds that unanswered question within it, waiting patiently. And as history shifts forward, the story is about to take a turn. The familiar symbols are still distant, waiting beyond the horizon of this story. The 14th of February stands balanced between what it was and what it will become. The past has loosened its grip, but the future has not fully arrived. February 14th did not suddenly awaken to romance. It drifted, guided by stories people needed to tell themselves. As rituals softened, meaning migrated. What once enforced order began offering explanation. Humans do not abandon symbols easily. They reshape them, carrying old shadows forward, while searching for gentler reasons to gather together here. During the Middle Ages, belief replaced force as the engine of meaning. Seasons were interpreted, not feared. Writers noticed birds pairing in early spring and imagined intention where coincidence lived. Love entered the calendar as metaphor first, not mandate. The date became a place for imagination to rest, shaped less by law and more by longing. It felt tentative, human, and quietly hopeful. Then poetry mattered because it gave permission to feel without certainty. Courtly love stories did not promise fulfillment. They lingered in distance and restraint. February 14th absorbed these moods slowly. It became associated with waiting, with noticing, with choosing words carefully. Love here was fragile, not triumphant, and that fragility made it believable. People recognized themselves inside uncertainty, and that recognition quietly endured across generations over time everywhere. Religious calendars did not erase emotion, they organized it. Saints offered stories that redirected devotion toward patience and sacrifice. February 14th aligned with these narratives by accident and convenience. The day was neither sacred nor romantic alone. It was adaptable. Meaning gathered gradually, shaped by repetition, trust, and the comfort of shared dates. People returned yearly, carrying expectations, doubts, and quiet hopes with them again always. Over centuries, symbols accumulated like sediment. Letters replaced chants. Tokens replaced rituals. Each generation simplified what it inherited, leaving behind sharper edges. What remained was emotional permission. February 14th became a sanctioned moment to express vulnerability without explanation. In uncertain societies, shared rituals offered stability when words alone failed. They reminded people they were not isolated inside their private emotions during fragile historical moments of change together. The idea of love itself evolved alongside the date. It shifted from duty toward choice, from survival toward connection. This transformation was slow and uneven. February 14th did not cause it. It reflected it. The day became a mirror, catching whatever version of love a society was learning to name at the time. Some years it reflected hope, other years uncertainty, absence, or quiet endurance alone. Stories mattered because they taught people how to feel safely. Lovers borrowed language from poets when their own words felt insufficient. February 14th offered a script without demanding performance. It allowed emotion to exist imperfectly. That permission mattered in cultures where vulnerability often carried risk, silence, or misunderstanding. The date held space for uncertainty rather than resolution, which felt strangely honest to many people across different worlds. As trade expanded, calendars synchronized, and the date traveled farther than its origins. February 14th crossed borders not through conquest, but adoption. People recognized the feeling beneath the symbol. Even when traditions differed, the emotional pause felt familiar. It was less about romance than acknowledgement, a shared breath within busy lives. That pause invited reflection, memory, and presence without demanding certainty or permanence from anyone there inside. Commercialization later amplified what already existed. Objects gave form to feelings that were difficult to articulate. This exchange was imperfect but human. February 14th became louder, brighter, and more visible, yet its core remained quiet. Beneath the noise, people were still seeking recognition, reassurance, and a moment of mutual seeing. Even flawed symbols can carry sincerity when enough people invest belief in them over time together repeatedly. Love survived here not because history planned it, but because people needed somewhere to place it. Emotions look for containers. February 14th offered one that felt safe enough to hold longing, memory, and hope. The day did not define love. It hosted it, briefly, before releasing it back into daily life. That hosting mattered during eras when emotional expression lacked language or shelter for many people everywhere. This is why the day feels both inherited and personal. It belongs to no single origin, yet carries countless individual meanings. February 14th reflects the fragile agreement that feelings deserve acknowledgement. Not certainty, not permanence, just recognition. In a world that often moves too quickly, pause itself becomes meaningful. People return to it searching for grounding, memory, and a sense of shared humanity amid uncertain times globally. The question is not whether the origins were pure, but why meaning stayed. Love did not erase history, it settled into it. February 14th became a place where past and present overlap gently. People bring who they are now to a date shaped by who they were before. That overlap allows emotion to feel rooted, rather than invented, inherited rather than imposed across cultures, generations, families, continents. So if love lives here now, it is because people placed it carefully, year after year. Not loudly, not perfectly, but persistently. February 14th became a quiet agreement to notice one another. The date holds love the way hands hold water gently, knowing it will not last forever. That awareness does not weaken affection. It deepens it through humility and presence shared between people briefly there together. The day endures because it answers something unspoken. In uncertain lives, people seek moments that say feeling is allowed. February 14th offers that permission without explanation. It does not demand happiness, only honesty. Love remains here because it has room to be imperfect, unguarded, and human. That space matters when certainty feels rare and connection feels increasingly fragile. Within modern societies moving faster than emotions can follow. And perhaps that is the quiet truth beneath the date. February 14th did not begin with love, but love stayed because people needed somewhere to practice it. The day became a pause, not a promise. A moment where emotion could exist without justification, waiting to be felt, then gently released. That is why, even now, love still breathes here. Quietly, between people remembering and hoping together in time.